Sign this resignation letter or we terminate you immediately. Those were the exact words. After 21 years of loyal service, I was given 30 minutes to decide my future. I chose resignation, but on my terms. I rewrote it. One sentence, carefully constructed. 5 days later, at 7:43 a.m., their corporate attorney called. His voice was tight, controlled, and unmistakably panicked. "Ms. Vaughn, we need to discuss the precise language of your resignation letter." The CFO, Logan Pierce, went completely silent when I explained what that sentence actually meant. Before I take you there, pause for a moment. Subscribe to the channel and tell me in the comments what city you're watching from. I want to see just how far this story travels. Now, let me take you back. Let me explain how I ended up sitting in a conference room at exactly 4:17 p.m. on a Friday in October 2025, watching four executives slowly realize they had made a catastrophic mistake, one that would cost them far more than they imagined. My name is Anna Vaughn. I'm 46 years old. For 21 years, I served as Senior Director of Global Operations at Ascent Systems, a Denver-based software company specializing in enterprise resource planning solutions for manufacturing firms. I joined the company in July 2004 as a junior operations analyst, fresh out of graduate school with an MBA from Colorado State University. I earned $42,000 a year and lived in a studio apartment that swallowed more than half my monthly income. By October 2025, my compensation had risen to $192,000 annually, plus quarterly bonuses, comprehensive benefits, and stock options accumulated over 2 decades. I managed a team of 41 professionals across 3 continents. My division generated $63 million in annual revenue. I wasn't just another executive with an impressive title. I was the institutional memory of Ascend Systems. When leadership forgot the details of an old but critical client relationship, they called me. When finance needed operational data from 2007 that no longer existed in modern systems, they came to me. When board members asked why certain processes even existed, I had the answers. My email archive spanned 21 years. Every vendor relationship, every legacy contract, every workaround, every decision that shaped the company. I knew them all. I understood negotiations that took place before most of the current executives had finished college. For 21 years, I was indispensable. Until, suddenly, I wasn't. The trouble began 8 months before that October meeting. In February 2025, Ascent Systems was acquired by Dominion Corporate Holdings, a conglomerate valued at $11.4 billion. Dominion specialized in acquiring mid-sized tech firms, cutting experienced and expensive employees, and replacing them with recent graduates willing to work for half the pay and ask no questions. I'd watched this exact strategy destroy 3 competitors in our industry over the previous 18 months. I knew what was coming. The acquisition playbook never changes. First come the reassurances, then the quiet eliminations. The deal closed on February 14th, 2025, Valentine's Day, an irony that didn't escape me. The new leadership arrived 8 days later. Our new CEO was Cameron Foster, 35 years old, Yale MBA. His previous company had burned through $40 million in venture capital before collapsing. He had 0 real experience running enterprise software operations. The CFO, Logan Pierce, was 33, formerly a consultant at Bain & Company, brilliant with spreadsheets, clueless about real-world operations. The OOO, Levi Coleman, was 37, a Dominion executive for 18 months who believed 8 months at a failed software company qualified him as an expert. On March 3rd, Cameron held a mandatory company-wide meeting. Standing in the main conference room, a space I personally designed in 2013, he delivered the standard acquisition speech I'd heard before. "We're incredibly excited about this partnership. Nothing fundamental is going to change. Your roles are secure. We value your expertise." I'd heard those words before, and I knew what they meant. That night at 10:23 p.m., I updated my resume. I also started doing something else, something my father taught me during his 32 years as a construction foreman and union advocate. I documented everything. Every email, every policy, every contract, every termination. Every comment that hinted at age or compensation, every meeting exclusion, every process I'd ever built. I backed it all up onto 3 encrypted hard drives stored safely at home. I knew the pattern. Terminate first, lock out systems immediately, and erase leverage. The layoffs began on March 24th at 8:47 a.m. 15 employees were fired. Everyone over 42, everyone earning more than $115,000. Everyone replaced within weeks by someone making less than half. HR called it organizational realignment. I called it what it was. By April, they started isolating me. Meetings disappeared from my calendar, responsibilities were reassigned to a 27-year-old manager with 9 months' experience. My judgment was questioned publicly, my authority undermined subtly but deliberately. They wanted me to quit. I didn't. My record was spotless. 21 years of exceptional evaluations, 0 discipline, multiple awards. They couldn't fire me for cause. So, on June 27th, Logan made his move. My position, he said, was being eliminated. A new role was created. Same duties, half the pay. $94,000. It was constructive dismissal, plain and simple. That night, I called my employment attorney, Elizabeth Hartman. She confirmed exactly what I already knew. Don't accept, she told me. Wait. Document everything. I waited. On August 4th, the email arrived. Conference Room C, 3:15 p.m. I printed my resignation letter, the one Elizabeth and I had crafted weeks earlier, and slipped it into my jacket pocket. When I entered the room, Cameron, Logan, Levi, and HR were seated across the table, pens aligned, expressions rehearsed. Cameron spoke first. "Anna, we've decided to move in a different direction." I said nothing. Logan slid a manila folder towards me. "We're offering you 2 options." That's where they thought the story ended. They were wrong. Inside the folder were 2 documents, both fully prepared, both waiting for only one thing: my signature. "Option 1, Logan said, voice polished and practiced. "You resign effective immediately. We'll provide 3 weeks of severance compensation. That's $11,077. We'll also pay your accrued vacation time, and we'll provide a neutral reference. It's a clean break, minimal complications. You leave with your dignity intact. 3 weeks of severance after 21 years. It wasn't an offer. It was an insult delivered in corporate language. Colorado law didn't require them to offer severance at all, and they knew that perfectly well. They were betting I'd be too scared, too drained, or too overwhelmed to push back. "Option 2, Levi added, his smugness only half concealed. "We terminate you due to restructuring. You get nothing. No severance, no vacation payout, nothing. And we'll document in your employment file that your position was eliminated due to redundancy, which, doesn't exactly create the best impression when you're looking for future work." It was a threat. A blunt one. A clumsy one, but a threat all the same. They were telling me, "Take the crumbs, or we make your next chapter harder." I opened the folder. Inside was a pre-written resignation letter on company letterhead. All I had to do was sign at the bottom. It read, "I, Anna Vaughn, hereby resign from my position as Senior Director of Global Operations at Ascent Systems, effective immediately. I understand that I will receive 3 weeks of severance compensation and accrued vacation time as my final settlement. I release Ascent Systems and Dominion Corporate Holdings from any and all claims related to my employment or termination thereof." It was a trap. If I signed it, I would be surrendering every right I had to pursue legal action: age discrimination, constructive dismissal, wrongful termination, for $11,077. I looked up at all 4 of them. Young, certain, confident, absolutely convinced they had me boxed in. Cameron checked his smartwatch like he was timing how fast this inconvenience could be wrapped up. Probably had dinner plans at 6. Logan wore a faint smirk, enjoying the moment. Levi leaned back like this meeting was already over and he'd already won. Stephanie from HR sat rigidly, neutral expression, prepared to process whatever came next. And in that moment, I thought of my father, 32 years as construction foreman, fighting for workers' rights, often against impossible odds. He taught me one lesson when I was 15 and started my first retail job. Never sign anything without reading it 3 times, and never let people in expensive suits bully you just because their titles sound impressive. He told me, you have rights. Know them. Use them. I'll resign, I said calmly. Relief washed across their faces instantly. Cameron actually smiled wide. Excellent decision, Anna. Very professional. If you could just sign right here. I'll write my own resignation letter, I interrupted. The smiles hesitated, flickered. Well, we've prepared one that covers all the necessary legal. I'll write my own, I repeated, firm and steady. Unless you're planning to dictate what words I'm allowed to use in my personal resignation. Cameron paused. He couldn't force me to sign their version without admitting the whole process was coercion. Fine, write your own, but we need it by end of business today, 5 p.m. You'll have it within 1 hour, I said, standing. I walked out of conference room C at 3:37 p.m., leaving them sitting there with their matching pens, their pre-written documents, and their false sense of victory. I went back to my office, closed the door, locked it, and opened my laptop. The truth was, I'd written my resignation letter 4 weeks earlier during a sleepless night, back when I knew this confrontation was coming. I drafted it with Elizabeth's expert guidance. We spent 6 hours on video calls, scrutinizing every word, every comma, every possible interpretation. The letter was 1 sentence, 42 words. I read it again, probably the 75th time, then sent it to Elizabeth through an encrypted message. They just delivered the ultimatum, resign or be terminated. Is this still our strategy? She replied in under 2 minutes. Perfect timing. Send it exactly as written. Don't add anything, don't explain anything, just the 1 sentence. Then wait. I printed it on a Sent Systems letterhead. I signed with my full legal name in blue ink. I made 4 copies, 1 for human resources, 1 for my personal records, 1 for Elizabeth, and 1 for my safety deposit box. Then I walked back to conference room C at exactly 4:17 p.m., 40 minutes after I'd left. Cameron, Logan, Levi, and Stephanie were still there, now with coffee cups in front of them, like they'd been celebrating their victory a little too early. I handed Cameron the letter without saying a word. He skimmed it quickly, barely read it. Fine, this is acceptable, he said. HR will process your final compensation. I'll need the severance details in writing, including exact amounts, payment timeline, and a clear confirmation of what's included. Logan rolled his eyes, the kind of condescending eye roll young executives reserve for people they believe are beneath them. 3 weeks of severance, we already told you. $11,077. It'll be in your final paycheck. And my accrued vacation time, I said. I have 142.5 hours. That's included, Logan replied dismissively. And my outstanding expense reimbursements. I submitted receipts totaling $4,287 from the Boston client meeting last month. They haven't been processed yet. We'll include everything, Levi said, already standing to leave. You can go now. HR will contact you about returning your laptop and access credentials. I left the conference room at 4:24 p.m. on August 4th, 2025. I returned to my office and packed my personal belongings into 3 cardboard boxes: family photographs, my coffee mug from a 2016 conference, a desk plant my team gave me for my 20th anniversary, and my favorite fountain pen, a gift from a mentor. My phone buzzed nonstop with texts from my team asking what had happened. I answered none of them. Elizabeth had been crystal clear. Radio silence until they realize what they've done. Don't explain, don't clarify, don't respond. I drove home at 5:04 p.m., set the boxes in my living room, poured a glass of wine, and waited. They realized it 5 days later. Tuesday, August 9th, 7:43 a.m. My phone rang. Unknown number, Denver area code. I answered on the 4th ring. Anna Vaughn speaking. Ms. Vaughn? a man said, voice strained. "This is Jonathan Winters, General Counsel for Dominion Corporate Holdings. I need to speak to you with your resignation letter immediately. Are you available?" I set down my coffee and smiled. "Here we go." "Of course, Mr. Winters," I said. "How can I help? There's some confusion about the language you used, specifically the phrase, 'effective upon receipt of complete settlement of all compensation, benefits, stock options, and other amounts owed under my employment agreement and applicable law.' Can you clarify what you meant by that?" I opened my laptop to the spreadsheet Elizabeth and I prepared. 63 tabs, color-coded, each line item supported by documentation. "Certainly," I said. "It's straightforward. My resignation becomes effective when I receive complete settlement of all amounts owed to me under my employment agreement and Colorado law. Until that settlement is received in full, my resignation has not taken effect, which means I remain an employee of Ascent Systems with all rights, benefits, and protections that come with that status." Silence. Long silence. I could hear papers shuffling, someone whispering urgently in the background. "I'm sorry," Jonathan finally said, his voice tighter now. "Can you repeat that?" "My resignation is conditional, Mr. Winters," I said evenly. "It's effective upon, meaning contingent upon, receipt of complete settlement. That's basic contract law. If something is effective upon another event, it doesn't occur until that event happens. My resignation does not become effective until you pay me everything you legally owe me." More silence, more rustling. "And what exactly do you believe we owe you?" he asked. "I'm glad you asked," I replied. "Let me give you a detailed breakdown." I pulled up the spreadsheet, 63 tabs, the result of thousands of hours of careful documentation. First, my base salary through the date of resignation, $14,769.23. Second, accrued vacation time, 142.5 hours at my hourly rate of $92.31, totaling $13,154.18. Third, outstanding expense reimbursements, $4,287 from the Boston client meeting last month. Those three items total $32,210.41. There was a pause. "However," I continued, "that's just the beginning." "What do you mean, the beginning?" His voice rose slightly. "Fourth, my annual performance bonus. Section 6.2 of my employment agreement, signed March 7th, 2018, guarantees an annual performance bonus of 80% of base salary for meeting operational targets. I didn't just meet targets, I exceeded them. My division generated $63 million in revenue this year, 14% above projections. The bonus is payable upon termination of employment for any reason. That's $153,600. I heard something drop on his end. Maybe a pen, maybe a coffee cup, maybe his jaw. "Hold on," he said quickly. "We need to review." "Fifth," I continued, unhurried, "my stock options. I have 52,000 stock options granted under my 2020 compensation package that vest immediately upon change of control. Dominion's acquisition triggered the change of control provision. At the current market value of $22.18 per share, those options are